Some ordinary morning, you'll pour the coffee and half hear someone you love talk about nothing. And one of those mornings will be the last one. You won't know it's the last one. Nobody hands you a warning. There's a single practice that answers this. It sounds like the bleakest thing anyone could tell you, and it turns out to be the opposite. The calmest people I've ever met all do it quietly, and I'm going to make you do it too by the end of this. Start here. Think of the thing you were desperate for 5 years ago. The apartment, the person, the job you refreshed your inbox for. You have it now, and you barely feel it. That's not a flaw in you. That's the machine working exactly as designed. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. Whatever arrives, good or bad, your mind drags you back to the same flat baseline within weeks. The vacation you saved a year for is a memory by the second morning. The body you wanted becomes a mirror you stop looking at. The mind rounds everything back to normal, fast. It's why the rays stopped mattering by spring, why the view from the new window went invisible by the third week. Your brain is a bad accountant. It logs what's missing in bright red and quietly writes off everything you already have. Negativity bias. Threats shout. Blessings whisper. So you spend a whole life reaching for the next thing, standing inside the answer to your last prayer, not feeling a single degree of it. And the people you love? They get adapted to fastest of all. The face across the table slowly becomes furniture. You already know the feeling. You looked up last week and couldn't remember the drive home. Whole days gone because nothing in them felt new enough to record. So here's what the Stoics did about it. 2,000 years ago, with no word for dopamine, they found the counter-move. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of what could go wrong. Rehearsing the loss on purpose, not worrying. Worrying is a loop that goes nowhere. This is one deliberate look straight at the thing you can't stand to picture. The difference matters. Worry asks, what if, then runs in circles at 3 a.m. and solves nothing. Premeditation asks, what if once, in daylight, on purpose, and then stops. Epictetus told his students something that should sound monstrous. When you kiss your child goodnight, whisper to yourself, tomorrow he may die. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, thought that line was worth keeping. He copied it into his private notebook, the one we now call the Meditations. Book 11. This wasn't some fringe idea. It runs straight through the Stoics. Epictetus in his handbook, Seneca in his letters, Marcus in the dark, writing only for himself. Read it cold and it sounds like a man poisoning his own happiness. Sit with it and it does the reverse. Because the second you truly picture the empty chair, the full one lights up. Let me tell you a small story, not about an emperor, about an ordinary summer. There was a girl who spent every August at her grandmother's lake. The same green water, the same slow evenings. It bored her a little. The grandmother was old, but not sick. Nothing was wrong. Nothing was ending. It was just another summer, and the girl wanted to be somewhere else. Her grandmother made the same tea every night, told the same 3 stories. The girl could have recited them. That was exactly why she stopped hearing them. On the last evening, the old woman asked her to sit on the dock and watch the light go down. The girl almost said no. She was tired. She stayed and half listened. She would spend the next 30 years trying to remember what was said on that dock. Because there was no next summer. Here's the cruelty of it. She wasn't given a last summer. She was given an ordinary one. The last time comes disguised as a Tuesday, every single time. Researchers have a name for it, the last time effect. The final moment of almost everything arrives with no ceremony. The last time you carried your kid up the stairs, you set them down and simply never did it again. You never got to brace for it. The last time a friend called just to talk. The last piggyback. The last time your parents seemed young. Each one walked past you wearing the mask of an ordinary day. Seneca watched this swallow a whole city. In one letter, he describes the night the town of Lyon burned, a great Roman colony gone between dusk and dawn. One night, he writes, stood between a mighty city and no city at all. His point wasn't be afraid. It was this: the disaster you never rehearsed lands twice as hard. The one you've already looked at, calmly, in daylight, arrives like an old acquaintance, not an ambush. Marcus put it to himself in one flat line: you could leave life right now, and then let that decide what you say and do and think today. Not once you've earned it, not when the calendar finally clears. Let the fact of the ending edit this ordinary afternoon. Now, part of you is resisting this. It sounds like a recipe for anxiety, for walking around grieving things that are perfectly fine. But watch what actually happens when you try it. Here's the turn no one sees coming. Rehearsing the loss isn't really about death. It's about attention. You can't feel gratitude for something you're certain you'll keep. Certainty is the thing that switches the lights off. The mind only leans in when something could be taken away. Picture your phone lighting up with the worst call. Hold it for 3 seconds. Then look across the room at the person who's still here, still breathing, still annoying you about the dishes. Feel that jump? That's the whole thing. So you borrow the ending on purpose, 10 seconds in a safe room, and it hands the whole thing back to you at full brightness. The coffee, the boring lake, the voice in the next room. The girl on the dock learned it too late to keep her grandmother. But she never sat with anyone she loved the same careless way again. She'd learned to watch the light while it was still going down. That's the secret the calm ones carry. They aren't colder than you. They've just agreed to see the empty chair, so they never stop seeing the full one. Here's a line I keep coming back to. You'll lose everything you love. That's not the tragedy. Forgetting you have it while you still do, that's the tragedy. So here's the thing I promise to make you do. Tonight, pick one ordinary thing you've stopped seeing. The person on the couch, your own 2 hands, the ceiling of the room you're lucky enough to sleep in. And just for one breath, picture the morning it's gone. Don't flinch away from it. Look. Then come back and notice it's still here. That's the whole practice. That's premeditatio malorum. 10 seconds, and it hands you back a life you'd stopped feeling, one ordinary morning at a time. That's what we do here every week. Take the ideas too heavy to pick up and turn them into something you can actually live inside. If you want the next one, subscribe. And stay for the last ordinary morning, while it's still ordinary.